In the heart of Asia there lies a realm of staggering contrasts, a land where ancient traditions and futuristic ambitions collide. This is China, a civilization stretching back through millennia, now hurtling forward at a pace that can seem almost incomprehensible. Here, on this vast canvas, nature and humanity have engaged in a dance of creation and imitation, shaping a landscape that is at once familiar and utterly alien. The very air seems to hum with a quiet, relentless energy, a testament to the spirit of a people who have mastered the art of transformation. As we journey through this immense and complex nation, we will witness phenomena that challenge our perceptions of authenticity and innovation. We will see landscapes not born of geology, but of ambition. Cities that whisper of distant European streets, yet stand firmly on Asian soil. It is a place where the line between the original and the copy can become beautifully, and sometimes bewilderingly, blurred. The story of modern China is not just one of economic might, but a profound exploration of identity, a quest to find its place in the world by both embracing and recreating it. Join me as we peel back the layers of this enigmatic giant. We will travel from the thrumming, hyper-modern arteries of its cities to the quiet heart of its ancient inventive spirit. We will listen to the echoes of the past that resonate in the present and gaze upon the marvels, both natural and man-made, that define this extraordinary land. This is a journey into a world of surprising echoes, a testament to the enduring power of human ingenuity and the endless capacity for reinvention. In the southern reaches of this vast country, a new kind of ecosystem has emerged. It is not one of forests or mountains, but of commerce and creativity. The markets of Shenzhen and Yiwu are its beating heart, sprawling labyrinths of human endeavor where the world's desires are gathered, examined, and replicated with astonishing precision. Here, the very concept of an original seems to dissipate, like mist in the morning sun. A stroll through these corridors is a journey across continents. One moment, you're admiring the fine leather of an Italian handbag. The next, the intricate workings of a Swiss watch. But a closer look reveals a subtle, yet profound, difference. These are not mere imitations, they are evolutions. The hands that craft these objects possess a skill honed through generations of artistry, now applied to the language of global brands. They are specters of luxury, phantoms of design, so convincing that they challenge the very notion of authenticity. The line between a genuine article and its spectral twin becomes a matter of perception, a philosophical question debated not in lecture halls, but in the bustling, chaotic aisles of these immense bazaars. It is a testament to a unique form of genius. This impulse to replicate extends far beyond the handheld and the wearable. It has reshaped the very landscape itself. Imagine wandering through the romantic cobbled streets of Paris, only to find yourself not on the banks of the Seine, but in a suburb of Hangzhou. Entire towns have been conjured into existence, meticulous echoes of European architecture. Here stands a faithful replica of an Austrian alpine village. There, a slice of the English countryside, complete with red telephone boxes and a Gothic church. These are not theme parks, they are homes, communities living within a dream of a distant land. This act of large-scale mimicry is a curious and powerful statement. It speaks of a deep admiration for other cultures, but also of a formidable confidence. The ability to not just visit the world, but to bring it home, to build it anew, is a display of immense capability. These replicated worlds stand as monuments to a nation's ambition, a declaration that anything desirable, no matter how distant or grand, can be understood, mastered, and recreated here, on Chinese soil. It is a quiet, architectural conquest. Amidst these echoes of the familiar, a new reality is being forged, one that is uniquely China's own. This is a world where the future has already arrived. In the cities, the mundane transactions of daily life have been transformed into seamless, almost invisible interactions. The need for cash or cards is fading, replaced by the simple act of a glance. Biometric systems, reading the unique patterns of a face or a hand, authorize payments with a speed and efficiency that feels like science fiction made real. The city itself has become a living organism, aware and responsive. This technological leap is woven into the fabric of society. Robots glide through hotel lobbies, delivering meals and amenities, their movements precise and silent. They are the new servants in this automated age. Smart city infrastructure monitors the flow of traffic, adjusts energy consumption, and ensures public safety with an omnipresent, digital gaze. It is a system of immense complexity, designed to manage the lives of hundreds of millions with an order and predictability that would have been unimaginable just a short time ago. Life here is a continuous interaction with an intelligent, ever-present network. From ordering groceries to summoning transport, the digital and physical worlds have merged. This is not merely about convenience, it is a fundamental re-engineering of the social contract, a grand experiment in collective living, orchestrated by algorithms and powered by data. The individual becomes a node in a vast, interconnected system, a participant in a symphony of unparalleled scale and complexity. To witness this is to glimpse a potential future for us all. It is a world of breathtaking efficiency, but one that raises profound questions about individuality and control. The only way to truly comprehend the scale of this transformation, to feel the pull of its replicated past and the push of its technological future, is to stand within it, to walk the streets of its phantom European towns, to pay for a meal with a smile, and to watch the silent, tireless work of its robotic helpers. The invitation is open to all who are curious. Across this land, there is a particular vision of grace, an elegance that seems to float just above the frenetic pace of modern life. The women of China often carry themselves with a quiet poise, a living connection to an aesthetic that has been cultivated for centuries. Their beauty is not one of fleeting trends, but of enduring principles. Central to this ideal is a complexion that rivals the luminescence of porcelain, fair, smooth, and seemingly untouched by the harshness of the sun. It is a canvas that speaks of an indoor life, of refinement and protection. This pursuit of fair skin is a delicate art. On any sunny day, one can see a remarkable adaptation, the widespread use of parasols, face masks, and sun-protective sleeves. These are not merely fashion accessories. They are essential tools in a daily ritual to shield the skin from the darkening effects of ultraviolet rays. This practice is rooted in a deep cultural belief that equates fairness with purity, elegance, and a higher social standing. It is a tradition that has gracefully resisted the Western embrace of a sun-tanned glow. Their focus on beauty extends downwards to the legs, which are often celebrated for their length and slenderness. In the bustling cities, this aesthetic is on full display, a modern counterpoint to the more traditional ideals of facial beauty. This combination of the contemporary and the ancient creates a fascinating duality. It is the image of a woman who is at once connected to a dynastic past and fully engaged with the globalized present, her appearance a carefully curated statement of identity and aspiration. This modern elegance, however, has emerged from the shadow of a much darker, more painful history of beauty. For 1,000 years, an extreme and crippling practice defined female allure foot binding. The ritual involved breaking the arches of a young girl's feet and binding them tightly, forcing them into a tiny, distorted shape known as a golden lotus. These grotesquely small feet were considered the height of eroticism and a symbol of a woman's high status and her subservience, as her limited mobility made her utterly dependent on her family and husband. The practice was a brutal form of physical control, a permanent alteration of the body to fit an oppressive ideal. A woman with bound feet could not stray. She was an object of beauty, confined to the inner chambers of the home. The tiny embroidered shoes that encased these feet were objects of delicate artistry. concealing a reality of lifelong pain and disability. The abolition of this practice was a monumental step in the emancipation of Chinese women, a casting off of a physical and psychological shackle. Today, the pursuit of beauty is one of choice, not coercion. Yet, the echoes of the past remain. The emphasis on delicacy and grace can be seen as a distant, transformed descendant of these older ideals. In place of physical confinement, there is now a different set of pressures. In a society with a significant gender imbalance, where men outnumber women, the dynamics of partnership have become intensely competitive. A woman's appearance, education, and family background are all carefully weighed in the complex calculus of modern courtship. Partner selection has become a strategic endeavor. Marriage markets can be found in parks, where parents gather to advertise the attributes of their unmarried children, listing their age, height, income, and education on posters, hoping to find a suitable match. It is a curiously public and pragmatic approach to one of life's most personal decisions. For a woman, the choice of a partner is not just a romantic one. It is a critical life decision that can determine her social and economic future. In this environment, beauty and accomplishment are powerful assets. They are tools in a complex social negotiation, a way to secure a favorable position in a fiercely competitive landscape. The modern Chinese woman navigates a world where she is simultaneously empowered by her opportunities and constrained by immense societal expectations. Her elegance and poise are not just aesthetic qualities, they are a manifestation of her strength and resilience in a world of profound and rapid change. Long before the hum of the modern world, in the quiet solitude of workshops and monasteries, the inventive spirit of this land was forging the very tools of civilization. The story of China's contribution to human progress is often told through four remarkable creations, discoveries so fundamental that they redirected the course of history. The first of these, seemingly simple, was paper. Before its invention, words were etched onto cumbersome bamboo strips or inscribed on expensive silk. Knowledge was heavy, and it was precious. The creation of paper from mulberry bark, hemp, and old rags was a revolution. It was light, it was cheap, and it was portable. For the first time, ideas could travel, liberated from the tyranny of their medium. Libraries could grow, and administration could become vastly more efficient. Paper gave thoughts wings, allowing them to cross mountains and oceans, to be preserved and shared with a fidelity that was previously unimaginable. It was the foundation upon which literature, science, and governance would be built for millennia to come. The second great invention was born from the mystical pursuits of alchemists searching for the elixir of eternal life. In their experiments with sulfur, charcoal, and saltpeter, they stumbled upon something entirely different, a black powder with a terrifying and wondrous power. Gunpowder did not grant immortality, but it granted an unprecedented ability to shape the physical world. Its first uses were in fireworks, dazzling displays of light and sound to ward off evil spirits, a tradition that continues to this day. But its destructive potential was soon realized. Placed within a tube, it could propel a projectile with immense force. This discovery would forever change the nature of conflict. The age of stone walls and armored knights began to crumble. Power was no longer solely in the hands of the physically strong, but in the hands of those who could command this explosive force. Gunpowder redrew the maps of the world, toppling empires and building new ones in their place. While some inventions gave power over the land, the third gave mastery over the seas. The compass. Early navigators relied on the sun and the stars, their journeys hostage to clear skies, but Chinese scientists discovered that a magnetized sliver of iron, when allowed to float freely, would always align itself with the planet's magnetic field, pointing unfailingly north and south. This simple, almost magical device, often housed in a small wooden box filled with water, was the key that unlocked the world's oceans. With the compass, sailors could navigate with confidence even under the grayest of skies, or in the blackest of nights. It emboldened explorers to venture far from the safety of the coastline, to cross vast, featureless expanses of water in search of new lands and new trade routes. The Great Age of Discovery, which connected the continents and created the first truly global network of exchange, was made possible by this small, unassuming needle. The fourth invention combined the first and the last printing. With the advent of paper, the desire to replicate texts grew. The innovation of woodblock printing, where entire pages were carved from a single block, allowed for the mass production of documents and sacred texts. But the true breakthrough was movable type. By creating individual characters from clay or wood, which could be arranged and rearranged, any text could be assembled and printed with remarkable efficiency. Knowledge was no longer the exclusive domain of scribes. This technology allowed ideas to be disseminated on a scale never seen before. It fueled literacy, powered scholarship, and enabled the spread of new philosophies and scientific discoveries. Alongside these four great inventions, another creation stands as a symbol of China's unparalleled craftsmanship: porcelain. This translucent, resilient ceramic, known as white gold, was treasured around the world. The secret of its creation was jealously guarded for centuries, its delicate beauty a hallmark of refinement and a major driver of global trade, giving its name to the nation itself in many languages. These gifts, born of curiosity and necessity, are China's enduring legacy to the world. Our journey through this land of echoes and marvels draws to a close, but the story of China is one that never truly ends. It is a continuous, unfolding scroll, with each new generation adding its own characters, its own inventions, its own dreams. We have seen a nation that looks to the world for inspiration, yet is forging a future that is distinctly its own. From the spectral beauty of its replicated towns to the silent efficiency of its robotic workforce, China presents a vision of humanity that is both deeply familiar and profoundly challenging. It is a place that defies easy categorization. It is ancient and it is futuristic. It is a culture of profound artistic tradition and a powerhouse of mass production. This duality is not a contradiction, but the very source of its dynamism. The tension between the past and the future, between the individual and the collective, and between the original and the copy, generates a creative energy that is reshaping our world. To understand China is to understand the powerful currents that are shaping the 21st century. As we leave these landscapes, from the misty mountains that have inspired poets for millennia, to the gleaming cities that reach for the heavens, we are left with a sense of awe. Awe at the scale of its ambition, the depth of its history, and the relentless spirit of its people. The world once looked to China for silk and spice. Now, it looks to it for a glimpse of what is to come. The scroll continues to unroll, and we can only watch with wonder to see what will be written next.